All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Vikings Territory Roundtable. We are back after our little holiday break. We're going to sit around and talk about our favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings, tonight. That's the NFC North champion Vikings. I think this is the first show we've been able to say that because of our little hiatus. So I'm your host, Brett Anderson. I'm joined by my usual guys. In the top right, we got Drew Mahold. He's back after he had a little break as well, so this is the first time he's been on the roundtable in a while. We're happy to have him back. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have Sam Newman. And then in the bottom left corner, we got Sean Borman. Our Twitter handles are under each of our names, so you can follow us on Twitter, see what we're up to, check out some of our hot takes. This show is live, so thank you for joining us. If you're already in the room, we'll be monitoring the chat throughout, maybe integrating some of the conversation that happens there into the show. We got a lot to get to tonight, but I wanted to start with you, Sam, because I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here at the beginning of the show. I was on twitter.com earlier today. And you always have the best tweets. And I saw an especially good one from you today. Or maybe it wasn't today because maybe it was like right after New Year's or something. But I don't go on Twitter as much as some people do. So you had a tweet about New Year's resolutions for the Vikings and their fans. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I want to start off the show kind of talking about New Year's resolutions. And since you had the tweet, I figured you'd be a great starting point for that. So why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Yeah. All it was I laid out some of my New Year's resolutions for the Vikings, and I don't have it in front of me. Do you have it in front of you?
I have it in front of me.
Yeah, that's it. It's things that I want them to do in the new year, i.e., playoffs and Super Bowl.
Okay, so these aren't for next season then? These are for effective immediately?
I'm most worried about the postseason and the potential Lombardi Trophy.
Okay. All right, so Case, you want Case when he's throwing deep to throw a little farther.
Yeah, however far he thinks he's supposed to throw it a little farther. I think that would help a lot of things.
He's we kind of make fun of him during games now because he's kind of the expert of underthrowing and getting the defensive pass interference penalty, like every ball that's over 20, 30 yards.
It's true, and I believe Drew brought that up on Twitter last game, how deftly he navigates that play. It's like the Rodgers-Nelson back shoulder throw, but it's the Keenum and to Diggs or Thielen underthrow pass interference. Incredibly well done.
Yeah, it's obviously on purpose. It's all tactical. Mm-hmm. It's part of the game. Mm-hmm. Your next one is Diggs needs to try making a catch without doing that point thing after, is what you call it.
Yeah.
I think you're referring to the ball drop.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yep, that's what it is. Every catch, 5 yards. Just got to celebrate.
So
maybe try not. I don't know.
I'm waiting for the penalty flag on one of those. Like... Because I feel like he kind of does it in the face of players, and even sometimes like the official will be standing right there like, hey, hand me the ball, and he's just like, nope, I'm going to drop it. And I'm just waiting for that 15-yard penalty to come. I think it's coming. It's probably going to come in the playoffs.
Perhaps he'll just accidentally do it in the wrong way, and it'll hit an official or something.
It's going to bounce up and hit an official in the face.
Possible.
And then your next one is for Shermer. Follow the Josh McDaniels example.
Yes. So don't leave.
Okay, and we're going to
with Shermer and McDaniels, I mean, they both tried head coaching, and for different reasons, it didn't work out for either of them. Now, the joke being made about Shermer is that, he had 9 wins in a couple of years with the Cleveland Browns. He should probably go to the Hall of Fame. But no, just leave well enough alone, reject the Peter principle, stay a really good offensive coordinator. Your life will be less stressful and better.
Okay, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. It's one of the many things we're going to be talking about today. Zimmer, mixing a salad once in a while.
See, yeah, that's more of a personal health thing for him. That gut's getting pretty big. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, man. I feel like Zimmer is just one of those coaches. I mean, it's kind of like a president, right? Like when they start their term and then when they're 4 years into it, like, man, this coaching gig is doing some things to him, and I hope he can stay healthy. So that might be a good one. And then the last one, I got to blow this up a little bit here. Fans, stop debating QBs for weeks. You lame cornballs.
It's a few weeks. I probably got a little aggressive every day I log on.
Of course, you're not talking to our fans.
Yes, I am. And I'm really, I like Vikings Twitter. I like the conversation, and I like reading the articles. So that's why I log on almost every day. But there's always some debate about, am I the only? Are you guys seeing this? There's always some debate about quarterbacks, whether it's Case or now Sam's in the mix. It's a nightmare, and everything's going great, and it seems like we could just not debate. We could discuss.
I told you we were going to talk about that on today's show?
Well, okay.
Sam doesn't want to.
I'm gonna push over.
He can mute his microphone for that part.
I will. I
mean, we're not going to debate. There's not, and that's actually one of the things we're talking about. There's nothing to debate at this point.
See, that's the difference.
But you know, I understand why people are talking about it. It's fun. Everyone's interested in it. Everyone's got a different opinion.
I think there's a fun way to have the discussion and a different way to have the discussion that's not as fun.
Okay.
And that's
hopefully we'll have it in a fun way today.
Okay.
All right. I want to go. By the way, thank you for that, Sam. That was glorious.
Thank you, Brett.
Appreciate that tweet and your recap of it. Drew, do you have a New Year's resolution for us? I kind of tried to give you guys a heads up that I was going to do this at the beginning of the show.
My own New Year's resolution, or like for the team?
No, dude, you're for the team. I mean, you can share your own personal one if you want to. We're here to support you, and we'll.
No, okay. No, you don't. I don't have New Year's resolution.
It may be a great way to hold yourself accountable to announce it to the hundreds of people that watch this show. Thousands.
I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, so my own personal ones. But I guess if I had to pick one for the Vikings, it would be, find an answer at quarterback, and that might be received badly, but they do have to find an answer and pick a guy for the future and
long term.
Whether that means drafting somebody or choosing either Keenum or Bradford or Teddy Bridgewater, whoever. Somebody needs a long term contract here, and they have to make that decision in the offseason. And I think they really have to commit to one guy and not leave it up into the air. Because I kind of think that they'll be able to afford, I think, both Keenum and Bridgewater, and I think they might go that direction, where that kind of leaves some, things in the air as to who could start if there'd be a competition. I just think that they got to commit to one guy, and if it's Keenum, hopefully Shermer's back.
That would be awesome. I feel like we won't get into it too much, but I feel like that's my ideal situation, them bringing both back, because I just can't handle losing Teddy yet. I'm not ready. So hopefully they can bring Keenum back and manage to bring Teddy back as well. Sean, what about your New Year's resolutions, man, for the Vikings, or your personal, or both?
I'm like everybody. You got to lose 20 pounds, right? Put on all the holiday weight, so that's my personal one.
I'm pretty sure Sam isn't trying to lose 20 pounds.
No, I am.
You are? Oh, crap. All
trying to get down in the 140s.
Okay.
No, as far as the Vikings, I like Drew's. I think they should commit to one quarterback for the future, but I do kind of like the idea of having both next year if possible. I just don't see that working out with all the teams in their cap room. But I honestly think the Vikings fans should keep it up. I've been to a couple games lately, and the place, US Bank Stadium, has been phenomenal. I mean, we obviously have a great home field advantage with all the noise. I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of road games, and I truly believe that the Vikings have the best fans in the NFL, and I think they should just keep it up, keep showing up, keep supporting this team, because they're in a great run, and who knows how it could end.
I know how it ends. It's on your hat.
Oh, positive. Can I ask quick, because
yes,
they both said, Drew and Sean both said you want him to commit to one quarterback, but you also want him to keep Case Keenum and Teddy.
No, I did not say I want them to. I think they very well might, because I think they'll be able to afford.
Oh, you don't want them? You don't actually want them to, though, Drew.
I'd rather not have them both. But
really, why would you? Okay.
I guess it depends on.
Maybe
it depends on a bunch of things. But yeah, they got to commit to one guy. And if they do bring both in, you got to name one the starter, or kind of make it clear that one of them is a starter, one of them's not.
Okay, all right, fair enough. My New Year's resolution, I was kind of thinking about this a little bit. I want the Vikings to not abandon developing the offensive line in the offseason. And I think it's off to a great start, but I think that we need to continue to build it. And I feel like if we continue to build the offensive line, get even more depth along the offensive line, that'll be the key to this offense, regardless of who's at quarterback, of the three guys that we've all mentioned already. And I believe that will spell long-term success, not just into the postseason, but long-term for this team. So that would be my New Year's resolution for the
Good
Vikings.
point, especially with Delvin Cook coming back. next year.
Oh my gosh, man! I always forget about that. That's going to be awesome. This team has Dalvin Cook. All right, so now that we've gotten our New Year's resolutions out of the way, let's jump into some of these topics we have today. Obviously, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the playoffs. So I wanted to start off by kind of focusing, since we're not going to be actually in a game this weekend, we're going to be watching to see who the Vikings play. Who are you guys most worried about facing in the divisional round out of all the potential opponents? Is there anyone that you guys just absolutely don't want to play? And then we're going to follow that question up with basically who you do want to play next week. So I'll start off with Sean. What do you think? Who worries you and why?
You know, I was going to say the Panthers because we've lost to them already. They're not traditional in that they don't run a traditional offense, being is that they move the pocket around, you know, with Cam's mobility. They confuse the defensive assignments. But honestly, the Saints are rolling right now. Their running game is phenomenal. They've got a Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees. I got to go with the Saints.
Okay. What about you, Sam?
No, I agree. I think I would least want to face the Saints for the reasons Sean mentioned, and that just they're an indoor team, you know, and they're playing indoors even though it's not their stadium. I feel like Drew Brees is a lot better in domes or stadiums with roofs on them, and they're just peaking at the right time. Probably the Saints.
So how different of a team, because it's such a unique situation, right? Because we've played a lot of these teams already, and we've beat a lot of these teams already, save the Carolina Panthers, as Sean pointed out. That's the only team we've played that's in the playoffs that we haven't beaten this season. What's different about this Saints team to you guys if both of you are so afraid of it, considering how we handled them in week 1? I mean, I think I know what your answer might be, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on
No
that.
Adrian Peterson.
Okay. Is it the fact that there's no Adrian Peterson, or is it the fact that there's an Alvin Kamara?
Yeah.
Both.
I mean, both.
Is that the only factor that you think has changed since then, really? Or I mean, and is he?
Well, the running game has just progressed so much. I still think the Vikings are a better team. You know, I still think the Vikings can and will beat them if they play them. But the running game on the Saints has just developed so much over the course of the season with Kamara and Ingram, and it just made them a different offense.
Do you see them giving the Vikings defense problems, or do you think that's something the Vikings defense can handle?
No, but I didn't see other running backs. Who was the guy? Who did they play where they gave up a huge run play for a touchdown on the first drive? It was so stupid. It was like 4 weeks ago.
That was Jonathan Stewart.
Thank you. Panthers. Yes, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I definitely thought McCaffrey was going to be the guy to tear us up that game, if anybody, but it was Jonathan Stewart. Mm-hmm. Drew, what do you think? Like, are you worried about Kamara? Like,
yeah,
what about Kamara worries you versus all of the other running backs that we've shut down this season?
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit, so I don't know for sure if I'm hearing that right. But
I can repeat it.
As long as I think okay. The one thing that scares me about the Saints is the fact that when the Vikings played in the last, Kamara had like 7 touches, and then the Vikings had Sam Bradford at quarterback, and so I think those two things together kind of separated the two teams quite a bit in that first game. So I really think this Saints team on that offense is completely different because Kamara can line up anywhere. They can have both those guys on the field at the same time, and I think that duo between Ingram and Kamara, it's a lot to handle at once. And I don't think the Vikings have really had to withstand a test that difficult at one time. So you can say what you want about this to the Buck or whatever it is, but that team I think is the scariest entering the playoffs, and the NFC team I for sure would at least like the Vikings to face at some point.
Was he breaking up a little bit for you guys too? Okay, I just wasn't sure if it's my connection or if it was Drew's. So hopefully we're not going to drop out here or anything. So Drew, is that the team? I mean, I got most of what you said, and I think most people did too. Is that the team then that you're picking? That's the team you don't want to face from the NFC at any point throughout the playoffs? That's the team you're most concerned
least likely would want to face Saints, I think. But then I still do think going to Philadelphia would be a problem as well. I think those are the top two, problems for the Vikings in this playoffs. The toughest matchups that the Vikings will at some point probably have to face here.
So is there no concern then with you guys refacing Carolina next week? Go ahead, Sam.
No, give me Cam in that dome. Give me Zimmer another crack at him. They're a good team, and yeah, they're playing their best football of the year around this time. But I think it's a completely different game at US Bank Stadium than it is in Carolina, and it doesn't worry me. They're not going to get beat by Jonathan Stewart that way again. I think they have the talent to cover Christian McCaffrey like they showed the first time. I would relish playing the Panthers again.
I mean, going back, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I feel like we held Jonathan Stewart pretty well, right? Like outside of that one play, I think was that.
Well, 3 touchdowns.
Well, never mind.
But by Vikings defense standards, he had a very good day.
But were a lot of those like, Cam gets him down to the goal? My memory is so awful. Cam gets him down to the goal line, and he just has a 1 yard run or.
Yeah, I believe he had over 100 yards and then 3 touchdowns. A couple of them were shorties, but it was uncharacteristic of the Vikings.
Drew, welcome back. Hopefully your connection's a little better now.
A little bit. Looks like you're still in and out, but well, technology, man.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty amazing that we're able to do this anyway. So the occasional hiccup, I guess we just have to deal with it. So Sam, is that your the team that you would most like to face next week, the Panthers?
Between them and the Rams, I just simply because of the Rams, just nothing scares me. I just think Zimmer's going to out-scheme Boy Genius again with that. And they don't have any, Ron Rivera, Sean Payton, the Saints, Panthers, they've been there before in the playoffs at least. They are battle-tested in a way. They both won or gone to Super Bowls at least. Rams don't have any of that, so probably the Rams.
Okay. What about you, Sean? Team you most want to face next week?
Mine is the Panthers. They obviously have a great defense. They can get pressure on the quarterback just rushing 4. But if the Vikings can beat the Panthers, that means nobody's stopping us. I think that would be a good character win for this team, and I don't think anybody could stop us after that.
Nobody in the NFL or nobody in the NFC?
I feel like that would give us the confidence boost that we need to go all the way.
Okay. And is that because they're the one playoff team that we lost to? So you feel like beating them would... Okay. Yep. Drew, we're going to try you as far as the team you want to face, but you're kind of skipping around a little bit, so this may not work, but... That's pretty smooth. That was pretty smooth. Give us the team you want to face most next week.
I'm going to go with the Rams here as well. I think, again, it's just that the way that game went Week 11 at US Bank Stadium, Mike Zimmer really had Sean McVay's number, and I think for a coach that young, quarterback that young, to go into that hostile of an environment when everything's on the line like that, I'll take the Vikings defense in that matchup for sure, and I can trust Case Keenum to put up probably 2 touchdowns in that game. I guess the Vikings offense, 2 touchdowns in that game. I think that'd be enough to beat the Rams.
Yeah, I found myself thinking about this question as well, and that was always my determining factor looking at the playoffs is basically experience at the quarterback position and confidence in Zimmer's defense to be able to shut down quarterbacks that, for one, haven't been there before. But if you look at a lot of these teams in the playoffs this year, and we're going to talk about some of these quarterbacks a little later, there's a lot of quarterbacks this year that do not have experience in the playoffs that I feel like Zimmer would match up very well against. So I think my my preferred team to play next week would also be the Rams. And I also don't want to play the Saints just because I got some bad juju about the Saints. And my father-in-law is a Saints fan. And so I just can't handle the trash talk from him if they win. Kind of expanding on this just for another second, is there like a best case scenario for a path to the Super Bowl for you guys? Like if all the dominoes, fall in the right place, who do the Vikings end up playing on the path to their Super Bowl victory? Sam.
I can't remember who plays who this week.
Okay, so let me.
Who does
So
Atlanta
let's do
play?
it. So
Thank you.
So Atlanta plays Los Angeles.
Perfect.
There's
Okay, I
no
got it.
situation in which we play Atlanta.
Wait, what if they win?
Then they would automatically play Philly because they'd be the 6th seed.
Gotcha. Understood.
Right.
Okay.
So
No, but then we could play them in the NFC Championship. So that's my perfect scenario.
Oh, okay. Yes, we could.
Saints
yes,
this
we could.
weekend.
I'm sorry. I meant in
exercise those demons from 2009. Falcons NFC Championship game, 98-99 season.
Ooh,
Demons exercise.
okay.
So much momentum going into the Super Bowl. Probably, maybe have a chance against the Patriots.
Okay, but if this is your best case scenario, if everything happens exactly how you want it,
Yeah.
the AFC team you would choose is still the Patriots?
No,
Because I'm giving you
the
control
Bills,
of who you
please.
play in the Patriots.
Oh,
as
I'm
well.
sorry.
And you
Okay,
can basically
perfect.
just pick a team in the AFC for like
Perfect.
who you'd most
Then-
like to play.
beat the Saints, beat the Falcons, Vikings, Bills, Super Bowl. Something's got to give. Somebody's got to win it. It'd be the most feel-good Super Bowl of all time.
Okay, so one more question. You'd rather play? Is it just to exercise the demons, as you said it?
Yes.
You'd rather play the Falcons
Yes.
over the Eagles? You don't feel
yeah.
like the Eagles would be an easier team to beat? Well, it would
Well,
be
no,
in Philly.
yeah, you get to stay at home.
Yeah.
It's mostly the emotional thing, but yeah, it's kind of a toss-up for me.
Okay, Sean, what's your ideal path to the Super Bowl? Like, which 3 teams do you want to play?
Well, I originally said the Panthers, but I don't know if you can get any better than Sam's scenario there, beating both the Saints and the Falcons. That's pretty good. I would like that, and then to beat the Patriots. I mean,
So you
The
want to
first and the
beat the
seed
best.
and the
You don't
second.
want any scrub team in there for the AFC. You want to beat the Patriots.
yeah. Yep.
All right.
I mean, that'd be the ultimate test to finish out the end of the year at
Sure.
home.
Sure.
That would be a really
You can't-
intense Super
yeah,
Bowl.
You can't argue with that. I mean, it's legitimate at that point, right? I mean, it's legitimate regardless, but I mean, it's really legitimate if you beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Drew?
Passing of the torch.
Well, and Drew was telling us about some news
I like,
that's supposed to come out tomorrow regarding passing the torch in New England.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. Everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Apparently, ESPN
Oh, God.
Oh, they cut him off.
that'd be
Yeah,
that'll be
ESPN
tomorrow.
cut you off. I don't think anyone got that. So anyway, Drew,
All right. Well, good.
your ideal situation for this for the next 3 games.
I like getting revenge on teams that the Vikings lost to. So beat the Panthers in the first game, I believe. So I mean, the Panthers and the Falcons both won. And then in the NFC Championship, I like Sam's, about the Falcons, getting revenge for that NFC Championship game. And then being the Steelers in the Super Bowl, revenge for week 2. So you get revenge on the Panthers for this season, Falcons in the NFC Championship for the 99 or 98, and then you get the Steelers in the Super Bowl for, I think that was also a former Super Bowl the Vikings lost in the
Twice.
70s. And then, this season as well. So all kinds of revenge up in here.
I love it. All right, guys.
Hey, what are yours?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. I think it's yours.
Okay.
I think it's yours.
Bills?
Like I said, the Rams, and then
Bills?
yeah, I think so. Because who are the other options?
Jags?
Yeah, their defense is so good. I mean, it would kind of be a toss-up between Buffalo, Kansas City, and Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee is not very good.
Yeah, I might. So I may even.
I
Pick
forgot
them.
about that.
Yeah, man, the AFC is so weak this year.
So it sucks because we're basically guaranteed a stupid Steelers Patriots AFC Championship game. We're gonna have to play one of those really good teams in the Super Bowl if they make it.
Who knows, man? Crazier things have happened.
True.
The awful Packers with Brett Hundley almost beat the Steelers. So who knows? All right. So we're going to take a little bit of a negative turn here. Sorry. I want to talk to you guys about the what was that? Did someone like sneeze or something or blow your nose?
I'm laughing.
Oh, you're
I'm laughing at you.
Why?
Negative.
Why? Well, we were just positive. we just gave all of our best case scenario for how the Vikings win Super Bowl 52. Sean's got his hat on, already celebrating it. So I'm going to be the negative Nancy a little bit here. What is your guys' biggest worry headed into these playoffs for this team? The one thing that you think could derail the entire bring it home Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl 52 champions. What's the one thing that has you most concerned? I'm going to start with Sean.
The health of the offensive line is the one thing that concerns me. With Easton going out, broken ankle, we have guys that can fill in. Searles is a decent fill-in, and it sounds like actually lately they might go with a different lineup for the playoffs.
Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I saw something today on Twitter. Instead of putting Searles at left guard, it would be Reef left tackle, Berger left guard, Elflein, Remmers, Hill.
What do you guys think about the whole moving Remmers inside?
Hate it.
We haven't really talked about that since it's happened.
I saw him in person at the game. I had pretty good seats at the game, and it's a beefy, big offensive line with those guys, the way that they had it lined up. But as far as mobility, agility, I don't think they're quite as athletic as when Easton is in there and Elflein.
But I mean, do you think the offensive line is better with Remmers at guard as opposed to right tackle and someone else in there at guard? Or Sam?
I don't like it because I think it's easier to hide your guards or give them help. So I think ideally you want your better players on the edge at tackle. And so I think Hill's I think he's a decent fill-in, but I don't like willingly putting Hill out there for the playoff run.
What about you, Drew? Uh-oh. Drew?
Oh, hello. I didn't hear you say my name. But no, I like what Sam said. When the tackles get generals right, that's their matchup. And so when you have Hill out there and then you have Remmers inside, you're kind of taking your better tackle inside, getting him away from that best matchup. So I like Remmers outside as well. But, I understand moving in a guy in Remmers who probably is a better guard than Searles. So I guess I just prefer your better players like Sam outside where they're going to get the best pass rushers from the opponent.
Okay. While I have you talking, and it seems like your connection is maybe okay, what's your biggest concern headed into the postseason?
Getting behind early in the game, because I don't think the Vikings can play from behind very well. I don't think this offense is built that way. And if it is, we haven't seen it because they had that chance against Carolina and they didn't really do a whole lot of good there. They did come time. It took one big splash play, really. So this team getting behind early, coming out maybe a little bit flat. I don't know if that would happen for this team. Come out flat and get behind early. I don't know if I like them against this NFC juggernaut. This NFC playoff picture is very loaded. So a lot of these teams could get ahead early and run away with it, and I think the Vikings would succumb to that. So getting behind early in games would be my big worry.
Okay. And how about you, Sam?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think that's probably the worst case scenario because like Drew said, they're not built to play from behind, and they haven't had too much this season. We've seen them get beat, get scored on fluky plays numerous times this season. Both Chicago games, they scored some stupid special teams touchdown. The Jonathan Stewart thing we talked about earlier. Just I could see a fluky touchdown, and then maybe the Vikings have to punt, and then the other team gets a field goal, and now it's 10-0, and everybody starts wringing their hands. And are they going to try one of the other quarterbacks? That seems like the worst case scenario to me.
No one's going to say special teams, huh?
Well, what's the concern? The field goal kicking? I mean, that will derail the season.
There's no reason for Forbath to be concerned about Forbath right now. There's not a concern.
You don't think?
Should be. No, I don't think so.
What about long snapping though?
No, I really don't think so because
I just don't think Forbath looks confident, and he has some misses.
When has he ever looked confident? That's just how he looks. Like that's what his face looks like.
How he looks.
It's true, but he's begun missing field goals, which he wasn't doing last year.
Well, he only.
I gotta look at his numbers. I don't think he's been bad at all.
I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I mean, I feel like the last one he missed was 50 plus, right? It was like a 53 yarder or something.
Sure. He pushed it bad, but yeah, it can be forgiven.
But I still, man, every time he lines up for that extra point, you guys tell me you're not cringing.
Terrifying.
I was, not anymore. Not anymore.
You're not
worried about it.
Drew, you're lying.
I'm dead serious.
Okay, well.
Do you guys remember Twins closer Joe Nathan?
Not a baseball
guy. Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Remember how nervous he looked every time he took the mound? Just
oh yeah.
I think he was lights out until they played the Yankees in the postseason.
Like me when I start the show.
So maybe that's Forbath. Maybe he just looks really, really unsure of himself and will be lights out.
TJ Awesome. Forbath is like 25. Oh, so he says like 25, 29. So I'm not
He's
sure that this
32 of 38 on the season.
TJ Awesome is way off then. Thank you, TJ Awesome, though, for your Forbath.
Hey, look at his extra point numbers. Maybe that's the extra points.
34 of 39.
And he hasn't missed an extra point since he started kicking it from the other hash. TJ Awesome followed up with that.
No, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't been following the extra points that closely, but he may be right.
See, there's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about.
All is well. I like it, Drew. Positivity.
I like the Nathan reference.
The what?
The
Nathan reference.
Oh, was that who you referenced?
Sorry. Right, you got a Twins hat behind you.
Well, it's like for Twin Cities. I'm just representing Minnesota.
Pandering. I got you.
Yeah, there we go. Pandering. I need to replace it with a Golden Knights hat. Hey, what'd you just... What do you have against UNLV?
I don't. It's just that doesn't belong with your Twin Cities collection. But
well, it's my school though.
It doesn't matter.
All right, whatever. All right, so now that we've gotten all of the demons out of the way here, we're not going to talk about any more negative things. Not going to talk about what's going to derail the Vikings Super Bowl run anymore. Let's talk about quarterback instead. Sam's favorite topic. So there's a lot of different things that I had written down for quarterback tonight. So we're probably going to spend a little bit of time on it. The first thing I had is I kind of just want to start off by asking the question, who you guys think the backup to Case is? Because as everybody knows, Bradford is back at practice. I've seen some crazy stuff on Twitter promoting that Bradford be the starting quarterback going into the playoffs, which is pretty ludicrous in my opinion. But I'm just curious, in the case that Keenum does suffer an injury and we're forced to put someone in there, do you think it should be Bradford or Teddy, knowing what we know now? Drew.
I think it will be Bridgewater, but I think if Bradford's healthy, it should be him. I like the experience Bradford has had in this offense already, playing with Shermer both in 2015 in Philadelphia, 2016 last year with the Vikings. I think he's more experienced and will kind of slide into that role better. I just think Teddy not having that game experience would hurt him, and obviously he's only played like 10 snaps under Pat Shermer. So I think if Bradford's healthy, he should be the guy, but it sounds like it will be Bridgewater. And for your, you mentioned Bradford starting. If Bradford would have been healthy like a week or two earlier and able to start, like let's say the Bears game, I would have started him. And if he would have played well, I would have started him in the playoffs. But it was too late, and I think now you don't mess that up and you keep Keenum in the starting role. Our
buddy Don in the comments is basically saying, and he was kind of who I was talking about. Shout out to Don, because he was kind of one of the guys that has been saying that Bradford should be starting. I just don't see how you could even say that. Like, I don't even see how you could expect the team to do something like that. And how can you say if he's healthy? Because last time we said he was healthy and we trotted him back on the field, he obviously wasn't healthy and he looked awful. So, I mean, what is the bar for healthy for Sam Bradford at this point? And I think with the Vikings offensive line, the way it's been looking the past few weeks, I think you put Bradford out there, who's not nearly as mobile as Keenum or Teddy. I think the offense looks completely different and not in a good way.
Or maybe it looks completely different like it did week one.
Yeah, but the offensive line was at a different place in week one. The offensive line was performing much better than it's been performing lately.
It almost feels Nick Easton? They're missing Nick Easton. Well, that'll blow the whole thing up.
Well, it kind of has a little bit. I mean, they've
been fine.
Well, they've
been fine.
Yeah, but Keenum has been under a lot of pressure, especially through the interior.
A little bit. He holds on to the ball a little bit too. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Bradford, different style of play. I do have a theory on who should be backup.
Okay, who do you think should be backup?
They should both be. Hear me out. Okay, you start
2 quarterback formation.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh.
You activate all three quarterbacks, and you, depending on the situation, you insert the other guy if you need to. Because Keenum, if he's coming out in the playoffs, it's for one of two reasons. Number one, he starts playing really poorly. He has an off game, say he throws a couple picks, not able to just hit any receivers. He's, maybe the Vikings get behind, team starts panicking. Oh gosh, our great season is being derailed because the quarterback, who everyone was waiting for to have a bad game, finally had a bad game. In that instance, what you'd want to do is you'd want to bring in somebody completely different that the opposing team did not game plan for, and by the way, is by far the best passer on the roster. Shake it up, maybe give the offense a different look. You'd want to bring in Sam Bradford. However, if that doesn't happen, in case Keenum leaves the game due to injury, assuming you want to keep some continuity in the offense, you'd bring in the quarterback who's much more similar in style to Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater. Both of them are pretty mobile. Both are very accurate on short throws, sometimes intermediate throws. Both are pretty terrible throwing deep. Same type of guy. So theoretically, you wouldn't shake anything up, and you keep things going smoothly if Keenum gets injured. That's why I think you should activate all three of them.
Okay, but you said I'm so confused because you said activate all three,
yes.
But you're not actually proposing that all like Teddy and Bradford play.
No, but we're asking who should be the backup.
Correct.
They should both be the backups.
So you're saying they should both be activated to be potential backups, and then depending on the game situation is how you decide which quarterback you put in.
Exactly. Nailed it. Glad you're on board.
Okay. Sean, do you have an opinion on this matter?
Stick with Teddy. Don't even think about Bradford until I think he's got 3 weeks so you can activate him. Only use him if one of our guys gets hurt. I don't see any need to bring him back into the situation based off basically what Brett said. I mean, look what happened to him when we thought he was healthy last time. He could barely stand up. So just don't worry about him unless we really need him.
Yeah. Okay.
But
so
you guys aren't assuming his health is the same as it was that first time he took a couple weeks off.
It might be.
Well, why would they even think about activating him? Why would they just leave him on IR if that were the case?
They've already done it. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, that's.
They've already done it once. Why wouldn't they do it again?
It was a completely different situation. Case Keenum hadn't led this game to 11 out of 12 to finish the season. I mean, there was no pressing need to activate Sam Bradford.
But
I mean, they haven't activated.
But you're acting like you're confident in Case Keenum, and then when you were just giving your whole spiel, you talked about potentially benching Case Keenum if he wasn't doing well in a game.
Yes. So no. I'm not saying I'm 100% confident in Case Keenum. I'm not 100% confident in anybody. But I'm just saying, logically, why would the team even have Bradford start practicing when he wasn't with the team? He wasn't even around. Why wouldn't they just leave him on IR unless he was healthy enough to play? There's no reason to bring this guy back and have him start practicing at this point if he's not healthy.
So he can sign with a new team next year, and we get a compensation pick out of him.
Oh, Sean.
So,
Sean. Yes. That's totally an Adam answer. I think Sean's the role of Adam more or less on the show. Him and his comp picks.
Also,
yes.
It's so Pat Shurmur can get a look at Sam Bradford and see if he's healthy enough to take him with him to his next team.
Oh, there you go.
Conspiracies are rampant.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all possible.
So Sam, I kind of want to probe a little bit more on this whole benching Keenum if he does poorly in a game in the playoffs. Is that something you guys think can actually happen? I cannot envision a situation where the team actually pulls the plug on Keenum during a game in the playoffs. I think at that point you probably just ride it out, unless he's thrown 3 picks on 3 consecutive drives or something. But I mean, if he just has kind of his average run-of-the-mill game that he's been having the last few weeks, you honestly think it would be we could see him benched? Or
not at all? No, not if he's having his average game. No, I think they'll definitely keep him in there. If he's having a terrible game, which is possible for any quarterback, especially one with such a small sample size for playing above average like Case Keenum, then I think it's possible he could have a really bad game for one of a number of reasons.
Okay.
I don't think it's likely.
So what is the level of concern with you guys regarding Keenum in this offense right now, based on what we've seen the past few weeks? Because I don't think anyone really mentioned that as the thing they're most worried about headed into the postseason. No concern? Drew, you're shaking your head no.
I'm not concerned. Not concerned. This offense put up 3 touchdowns against a top 10-ish Bears defense. And from what I understand, a lot of the weaknesses in that Packers game were due to the cold. It was Case Keenum's first ever cold game. And so, I will be concerned a little bit if the Vikings go to Philly, but as long as they stay indoors with this crowd behind them, I like the Vikings with Case Keenum. I think they'll be able to put up enough points with this defense that should hold them to a touchdown. I still think Case Keenum is leading this offense well enough to, complement this defense and win games.
Do you guys think there's a team right now better positioned than the Vikings at quarterback in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess
Tom Brady.
Okay, let me elaborate a little bit. I guess I should. This is an important clarification that I missed.
Matt Ryan.
Depth-wise.
Cam Newton.
Okay, come on. Depth-wise, we're going to talk about quarterback ranks in a second in the playoffs, but
depth-wise, there has a better position ever in the playoffs than the Vikings.
Right.
At quarterback, depth-wise, but starter, yeah. There's like 6 teams in the playoffs right now that are better positioned than the Vikings.
Okay, let's do it then. Let's jump right into that.
All but one in the NFC, I'd say.
Let's do that because I kind of thought that would be a fun exercise for us to do. So where does Case rank among the other playoff quarterbacks? I'm going to give you my list that I put together before the show, and then you guys can pick it apart, and then in doing so, maybe reveal what your own list would be. So number 1, I have Tom Brady. Number 2, I have Ben Roethlisberger. Number 3, I have Drew Brees. 4, I have Matt Ryan. 5, I have Cam Newton. 6, I have Case Keenum. 7, I have Tyrod Taylor.
Okay.
8, I have Alex Smith. 9, I have Mariota. 10, I have Foles. 11, I have Goff. And 12, I have Gabbert.
Wait, Bortles?
Sorry. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Same thing. It's the same. It's the same thing.
I think you have Goff and Bortles way too low, but otherwise I agree with you. Bortles has had a sneaky good 2 months, except for this last game at the end of the year.
All right. Well, okay. Then give me your ranking, Sam.
I don't have it in front of me. I would move up. No, basically I'd move Goff above Tyrod and move everybody down and move Mariota to the end based on how he's played this year. Wait, who? Yeah, I don't
know. So you'd keep Keenum at 6?
I think that's fair.
There's only 5 quarterbacks better than him in the postseason.
I mean, you could make an argument, but I think that's a convincing argument to have him right where you had him.
Drew, are you concentrating on putting your own together?
I'm trying to create a list. Yes, I'm trying to create a list. I have 11 guys. I'm forgetting one. Oh, I know. Okay.
Nathan Peterman.
Don't
rule it out.
Can we talk about how? I mean, I know we're all happy for the Bills right now, but they kind of don't deserve a playoff spot after what they did at quarterback.
Well, they don't.
Like, it pisses me off that they did that, and I feel like they haven't been appropriately punished for that decision. So, anyway, all right, Drew, you ready with yours?
All right, you ready with my list of the top 12 quarterbacks in the playoffs? Tom Brady, Big Ben, Drew Brees, Cam Newton is 4, Matt Ryan is 5, Jared Goff is 6, Smith is 7, Marcus Mariota
7?
8, Case Keenum 9.
Hold on, who's 7? Go back to 7.
7 is
you broke up a little bit.
Alex Smith.
7 is Alex Smith.
Oh, okay, I guess that's fair.
Yep. 8 is Mariota. 9 is Keenum. 10 is Tyrod. 11 is Foles. 12 is Bortles.
Wait, where'd you have Goff at?
You hate Bortles too.
Where did you have Goff at, Drew?
Goff was at 6 for him. Goff was
6. Yep.
So considering Bortles has been at the bottom, or Gabbert in my instance has been at the bottom of every list. Or,
Chad Henne.
How come nobody mentioned wanting to play the Jaguars in the Super Bowl? Just that defense?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd gladly take the Jaguars, but the defense.
The Super Bowl would be like a 4-2 final score.
It would be so awesome.
As long as that 4 is in the right direction, man, I could care less. Sean, have you been putting together your list for these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I've got mine.
Okay, let us have it.
I've got Brady 1, Breeze 2, Big Ben 3. Number 4, I've got Matt Ryan. 5, I've got Cam. 6, Case Keenum. 7, Alex Smith. 8, Jared Goff. 9, Marcus Mariota. 10, Blake Bortles. 11, Nick Foles. 12, Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, you are really low on Tyrod. You might have benched him too for Nathan Peterman then, huh? No.
I wouldn't have done that, but
not that low.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's crazy to me that like a lot of us had Keenum in the middle of the pack for playoff quarterbacks this season.
9.
I guess it. Well, yeah, but you're wrong, Drew. Everyone else had him.
I am not wrong.
Or you? Where did you have him, Sam? So I had him. I had him at 6. Sean had him at 6.
Yep.
Drew had him at 9.
I'm actually gonna. I'd put him at 7. I'd put Goff over.
So right about 6. We're average, right below 6, I think. So I don't know, man. That's pretty crazy to me.
It's really just if he could stop leaving points on the board with those long throws.
He's not leaving them on the board. Those are defensive pass interferences. Those
sometimes.
are going pretty much every time, actually. But
it's strategigic.
Latavius thanks him for
do you
those
think he
shorts.
just doesn't have the arm strength, or what do you think?
No, he does. He just misjudges it.
Yeah. I hope it stops happening.
By the way, NFL.com came out with their quarterback rankings today.
For like
Keenum
for like the whole season and
for the season.
Okay.
I don't know if it's cumulative, like just in the NFL or just the season, but Keenum is 14th.
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers is 11th. So I was a little confused by that.
It must be for this year.
Yeah, I know.
It's
got to be for this year.
Because that's based on how many games Aaron Rodgers played.
Year-end rankings, yeah. I mean, it's got to be this year.
Did Hundley make the list?
Not that I saw.
I wonder
no.
what quarterbacks were above him that aren't in the playoffs.
Rodgers.
Yeah, okay, besides Rodgers. Like, I'm wondering what other quarterbacks.
Deshaun Watson was on there. Jimmy Garoppolo was ahead of Keenum.
So that means it's probably, recency bias is probably playing a big role in that too.
Yeah, and Keenum has kind of fallen off the past few weeks, so I could see that. I did see that he did end up getting some MVP votes, didn't he?
Well, they haven't voted on it yet, have they?
I thought I saw something. I don't know what I saw then. He was at the
there was
release the votes.
There was a player survey or something like
Maybe
that where
that's what
Keenum got votes. I think Todd Gurley finished second, by the way,
from Thielen and Diggs.
Probably.
That's still crazy to me. I still can't believe he was on the list. But we're gonna.
Well, regardless, I mean, it's people are voting with emotion some of the time. He is the story in the NFL this year.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of stories, obviously, but Kareem Hunt too. But what Case Keenum's done from being undrafted and afterthought to now leading a 13-3 team to a first round bye, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think he should be MVP, but
no, I know. All right, so we're gonna move on from this quarterback discussion. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys' rankings there on the spot. So. Quite a bit of news this week about the Vikings potentially losing 2 of their coaches. They've been interviewed, or they're lined up to interview with multiple teams. I don't have that list in front of me, but I think Shermer's for the Lions and the Bears, and then Edwards is also for the Bears. I'm not sure if there's any other ones. Sean, I know you've been kind of covering the stories at VT. Are there any other teams that they're going to be meeting with at this point, or are those the only 2?
Are you talking about both coordinators?
Well, I mean. Yeah.
I know Shermer's got interest from a lot of teams. As far as Edwards, I've only heard the Bears.
Okay. But the Bears and the Lions are the 2 teams that they're, at this point, are scheduled to meet with? Do you know, Jer?
Well, I mean, Shermer and Edwards both have the Bears. Shermer then has... I think he interviewed with the Lions today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cardinals is either tomorrow or was today.
Oh, so Cardinals.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Giants and Bears in the future.
Giants as well.
And there will be more teams, I think, for Shermer too. I would assume.
Do you guys think that that should be allowed?
Yeah.
Okay. Simple as that. Like you don't have you don't have any problems with a team, you know. So if I'm the Vikings organization and I'm, you know, on this potentially epic Super Bowl run and my employees are meeting with other franchises during, you know, the process that we're supposed to be preparing.
Depends on the, you know, the perspective you're looking at, because if you're looking at it from simply just the Vikings team, and if the Vikings should allow it, then yeah, you should allow it, because this is how it works for every playoff contending team. They have coordinators that are, you know, wanted by other teams, and so, like, I mean, the Patriots have both their coordinators getting interviewed, things like that. It happens, but I do think the NFL could maybe consider a rule where, you know, maybe this type of contact shouldn't happen until after the Super Bowl or something like that, because then you give everybody an even playing field once the Super Bowl is done, and everybody can, you know, start making that move. The problem with that is that it's so close to the next league year that it would be, a lot of teams would be crunching. So that's the one problem with it, I think.
Yeah, I can kind of see it both ways, because if you do that, you're also kind of, you know, screwing over the teams that are now looking for new head coaches a little bit. Because
you're making them wait for another 2 months, essentially, or a month and a half.
Do you guys think it matters? Like, do you think it's a non-issue as far as the guys going and meeting with these teams during this 2-week prep?
I don't think it matters. But...
No?
Yeah, I don't, especially during a bye week. I mean, if you're head coaching material, meaning you have the ability to essentially be the CEO of a large organization, you got to focus on more than one thing at a time. I don't think an interview with a team or two is going to distract from you getting your job done. And if it does, man, you are out of your league.
Yeah. So which of these two guys, I think I know the answer, but which would you rather lose of these two? Like, if you had to pick one, is everyone picking Edwards? You'd rather keep Shermer?
Yeah. I think so.
What do you think happens to this team if we end up losing Shermer? I mean, I know it's kind of like really jumping the gun, and, you know, we should.
It's not, though. I think Kevin Stefanski gets promoted to offensive coordinator because he's coached tight ends, running backs, and quarterbacks now on this team, and he's now the quarterbacks coach. I think he'd just get. I would think that's what I would do. I'd promote him to the offensive coordinator spot. I think he's familiar with the system, familiar with Shermer's scheme. He can run it and run something very similar to it. I think that would be the simplest and most effective move.
We've been like really talking Shermer up on the show throughout this season, but I almost feel like the past 3 or 4 weeks the offense has regressed, and I kind of feel like the play calling has been a little bit predictable and a little frustrating at times. How detrimental?
Vikings have won by double digits in every game.
Okay.
Yeah,
they get up, and they play conservative.
I mean, that's a stat, but I guess I'm giving you like my own opinion on what I'm seeing when I watch the games as far as like predictability and play calling. I feel like it's been a little bit predictable. But
I mean, that's what happens when, I mean, yeah, if I'm up 15 or 14 points in the second half, I'm going to be somewhat predictable because I'm playing conservative. I'm trying to win.
Yeah, but
that's
why?
how. Because if it's 3rd and 9 and you throw a 15-yard corner for a pick six, then your opponent's back in the game. Whereas if you throw a screen or a little dump off pass, something easy and safe, you could have that chance to get that first down, but you're not risking anything. You punt the ball deep 50 yards.
That's not really, I guess, what I don't really have a problem with the situation that you just described. I just feel like we've gotten into one of these situations again where the Vikings are ahead by a touchdown or two, and every time they get the ball, you can pretty much guarantee that 1st and 2nd down are going to be a run right up the middle.
That's frustrating for me too. I just think.
Drew, so stop making me feel.
It would be frustrating if the Vikings defense wasn't holding teams to like 10 points a game.
Right.
All right. So I was hoping somebody would say this, and somebody said it in the comments. Keith Klein. They're making it dry so they don't expose anything. What do you guys buy into that whole theory? Because that gets thrown around all the time.
If you're playing the Bengals and the Bears late in the season and you know this is going to be a win, essentially, especially as the game goes on, why would you expose anything? Why wouldn't you run it on 2nd and 10? Who cares? They're going to win.
But what would you be exposing that like hasn't already been shown somewhere else in the year? Like, what's this?
A play.
A brand new play that's going to be the play.
Yes. Oh, you'll see new plays in the playoffs. I guarantee it.
All right.
I
just think it gets
different formations.
I just think it gets thrown around a lot, and I always wonder if that's kind of overblown. You know, like
to be honest, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's a legitimate theory.
Okay.
Well, just think about it this way: how many trick plays have you seen from the Vikings this year?
Not many.
Exactly.
But maybe that's because we realized
that look in Sean's eyes.
Or maybe the Vikings have realized that trick plays are stupid, and they
that sounds more realistic.
They pretty much don't work.
Wait, we saw one. Didn't we see one last week when Stephon Diggs was rolling out with the ball, and he no, that wasn't a trick play. It was just a sweep to Diggs. But I was yelling at him to throw it because he was going to lose 6 yards. He just
I think he lost 8.
Oh, correct.
He does not like contact, does he, Stephon Diggs? Like, I feel like he had. Was that your ball drop?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I feel like he has. I don't know. Lately, it just feels like, man, he's doing everything in his power to avoid contact. If he catches that ball anywhere near the sideline, he's running towards the sideline.
Yeah, well, I mean, with his injury history, I don't
necessarily have a problem with it either. I mean, you've already lost 5 yards on that stupid end around anyway, so why fight for an extra 2?
Just throw it out of bounds.
Oh, yeah, or that, Sam, or that. So how much? So I guess what I was getting at when I was talking about Shermer, like, kind of dropping off these past few weeks is, I wanted to ask you guys, like, how detrimental of a loss to the team do you think it's going to be if Shermer does end up somewhere else next year? Like, do you think it's going to be catastrophic for the Vikings offense and they're just not going to be who they were this year? Or do you think it's something that we can overcome pretty easily?
Well,
it depends. I think it depends on who the quarterback is. I think there's some unknowns with Case Keenum without Shermer that if they bring back Keenum onto a franchise type deal, it could go south if Shermer is not paired with him. But if you get a guy with more natural talent, let's say, if it's Teddy or Sam or whoever it is, and you get an offensive coordinator, I'm hypothetically Kevin Stefanski or someone else, that can insert a system and it can work better with a guy that's more talented but not really much experience there. I think that things could stay relatively same from a production level. So I don't know. I mean, you're getting Dalvin Cook back next year. You're getting you're getting a running game that's going to be phenomenal. I mean, it was really good this year with with Murray and McKinnon. So I don't know. I think it wouldn't be that bad, but I think I would be somewhat concerned if Keenum's back and Shermer's not.
What about you? You guys have anything to add to that? No.
I'm personally a little freaked out. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad Drew's more calm about this because inside, I don't know what they're gonna do.
I think you're just more like me. I think you're just more emotional and don't like change and afraid of the unknown.
Whatever he's been doing has been working, and I've been writing an article that says, he's got a pretty good situation here right now. I mean, yeah, he's offensive coordinator, he's not a head coach, but he's got limited oversight as far as running the offense. He's able to mold and shape a pretty young offense if you think about the core players, Dalvin Cook, Pat Elflein, guys like that, Stephon Diggs. So he's got a pretty good situation here. But I don't know what they're going to do if they lose him. Drew thought of some replacements, so it sounded pretty good to me, but I'm a little scared of losing Shermer.
Yeah. I guess I just don't think he's been that revolutionary to where the team takes a major step back. I mean, obviously there's unknowns and they could, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world if he ends up somewhere else next year.
Like Drew said, you got to find a guy that can play to the strengths of your players. If they are able to do that, I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Shermer's been very good this year, but remember before the season, not many people had faith in him. And so it's how quickly things can change. And so I like the Stefanski idea because I like the continuity. I like that's what Belichick would do, just promote somebody within the organization most people nationally had never heard of. I think that would make sense, especially if Keenum stays.
Yeah. Okay, so we're right at about an hour right now, so I want to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. The last thing I had on the list for tonight was, since the regular season's over, I kind of wanted to get your guys 2 awards from you guys for the season. I just wanted to get your regular season MVP and your regular season, biggest surprise / improved player. So I'm going to go ahead. We're just going to run around the table really quick. You can give us your names, you can give us your reasoning, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So I am going to – who's ready? Who wants to go first? You ready, Drew? Okay, go.
Yep, I am going to nail this because I've kind of already been prepared for that anyway. Harrison Smith is my MVP, the most valuable player on the best defense in the NFL. He does everything. He plays inside the box, up at free safety, at center field position. He stops the run. He sets the edge. He reads quarterback's eyes and it picks off passes. I mean, he does everything. He is literally the kind of the catalyst for this Vikings defense that is number one in the league in several prominent categories. But I think most importantly, third down stop percentage, best in NFL history. I think a lot of that's due to Harrison Smith. So he's my MVP. And my most improved player is Trey Waynes. After the first 4 weeks of the season, he has been a very, very good complementary cornerback to Xavier Rhodes. He would be a very solid cornerback number one on a lot of NFL teams right now. And I think he's playing with sky-high confidence and will be very valuable in the playoffs. So he's my most improved player. So I have Harrison Smith MVP, Trey Waynes most improved player.
It's pretty crazy how far we've come on Waynes this season. I mean, some of us on the roundtable have been pretty level-headed about the whole situation and said that these guys, especially at cornerback, you're going to need time to develop in the NFL. Trust Jerry Gray, trust Mike Zimmer. These two guys are great at working with cornerbacks. Waynes is going to come around. He has all the skills. But then there's been other people that have been on the complete opposite of that. And I just think it's crazy that we've been talking about, should he be benched for Tremaine Brock versus would he be a cornerback 2 on a lot of other teams? And then now, I agree with you, Drew. I saw your tweet the other day and I agreed 100% with it. Would he be cornerback 1 on a lot of other teams in the NFL? And I think that he would. And it's just kind of crazy that we've come that far on Waynes this season.
You're mainly talking about Don from Ohio when he hops on here, huh? And
was he one of the Waynes haters? I know he was I know he's one of the
just think about how much the Packers could use Trey Waynes right now. In that secondary, right?
Good point.
Mm-hmm. Vikings have 4 cornerbacks on the roster right now that would be cornerback 1 on the Packers.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. Sean? Oh, by the way, I'm gonna throw in this caveat at the last second. You can't repick a player.
Oh,
just to make it interesting.
Okay.
That's why you go first.
That's why Drew did the right thing by going first. So
luckily, I knew this was going to happen. He took both my guys. I had Smith and Trey Waynes as well, but luckily I have more. Number 2, you guys might not agree with entirely. I got Linval Joseph. I like that. He's incredible. One of the best defensive tackles in football. Just a body mover. He can take on double teams, no problem. He had 10 tackles in a game this season. And quite a few sacks. I think he had 3.5 sacks or something too. So the guy is just a beast. So he's my MVP. Obviously, the rock of a great defense. And as far as my most improved, I got the guy next to him, Tom Johnson, who was able to take on a full-time role this year after being, more of a situational guy last year. So Linval Joseph and Tom Johnson.
I like those. I didn't even have Tom Johnson on my list of possibles, so I'm going to have to go ahead and add him in here really quick and then cross him off. Sam, go ahead.
Well, I think it's hard to argue the Harrison Smith pick for the MVP, but due to the rules here, yes. And since I can't say Linval either, because that's where my mind would go next, I am going to go Riley Reiff, best player on the unit. That essentially the offensive line turnaround is, among other things, but has been the biggest factor, in my opinion, in making this offense not just average, but a very, very good. It's no longer a liability. It's now an asset to this team. Riley Reiff has been tremendous all year. I think he's given up 1 sack, maybe 2. So I'd go with Reiff. And for my most improved player, I'm going to go Mackenzie Alexander. Alexander has turned into a nice nickel-ish, if they're using him in that role, corner. He was absolutely terrible to non-existent last year, and now you don't hear his name much, and he's even making some plays. So I'm impressed with the way how far he's come in year 2.
I like it. All right, I'm going to give mine really quick. A lot of them have been taken already, so my pick for MVP may surprise you because, I'm team gloves. But all right, so I'm going to go Case Keenum just because we're talking about value, right? We're talking about value to an offense. So if you remove Case Keenum from the picture, Sam Bradford goes down in week 1. You have Kyle Sloter at quarterback this season, and who knows what the Vikings are doing. I mean, we're probably, probably still doing okay because of this defense, but maybe 8-8, maybe right there in the middle of the pack or something. So I think you got to give it to Case Keenum. He's exceeded everyone's expectations this year and been stellar at times. Although I do think he's taken a step back the past few weeks. I think he's the guy to lead this team through the playoffs. My most improved, biggest surprise, I'm going to go with Andrew Sendejo. I think Andrew Sendejo's taken huge strides this season. I think we finally found the guy long-term next to Harrison Smith. I don't think we need to worry about that position anymore. So I've been very impressed with him. I'm going to give you guys an honorable mention, though, for my most improved player here. Okay. Ryan Quigley. Well, not most improved, but biggest surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
We have not talked about
zero touchbacks this year.
Yeah,
when
I saw that stat come through, my mind was absolutely blown. Like, because it's not something you think about a lot, and then you're like, holy crap, he hasn't had any touchbacks this year. And I mean, that was one of the best games I've seen from a punter in a very long time this past week. He was absolutely incredible. And if he can continue, because I feel like he's getting hot right now, if he can continue into the playoffs, that is going to give the Vikings an incredible advantage in the postseason. Being able to pin teams consistently within the 10, that's a big deal, especially with this defense. So
watch out, NFC. The Vikings punter is hot.
That's right. We're coming for you. No, but that's cool because I feel like I've been harping on the punter position for so long. And it's nice to finally have a guy in there now that you're just not worried about every time, we're having to punt. All right, we were going to do bold prediction updates, but we're going to have to do that in another episode. I wanted to give Drew a chance to gloat for hitting his bold prediction this season. We're probably going to need like 30 minutes for that, though, so we definitely don't have time for it tonight. But that's going to do it for this show, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys that are still out there watching. I appreciate you three for giving me some of your time tonight. We will be back sometime next week. We're probably going to do like a preview show, I'm thinking, once we know who the Vikings are going to be playing. So make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you can be notified next time we go live for the roundtable. And that's pretty much it. Like the show, share it with your friends. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.